welcome to the Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bet Show. My name is Ethan Kershaw, DFS Soccer Analyst, and today, from rainy and thunderstormy Salt Lake City, I bring you some awesome picks from an MLS slate on DraftKings. We're going to be talking about a 3-game MLS slate. But before we jump into the video, please make sure to drop a like on this video, and then also subscribe to Mayo Media Network. Also, be sure to subscribe to Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets, the Mix podcasts, wherever you get your pods from. Then leave a 5-star review. And then last but not least, head on over to Twitter. Follow me at Ethan Kershaw 9, where I will be providing various DFS soccer updates. I'll be helping you out with your lineups. Anything you need, I am here for you. Alright, that being said, let's go ahead and jump on into the video today. Looking at this slate, there are a couple of expensive players, but there are also some players that are a bit cheaper, some guys that I think have a lot of value to your team, and there have been a couple of injuries as well, so pay attention to that as the video goes on. Let's go ahead and start up top as we normally do. The first guy we're going to be looking at is going to be Valentin Castellanos for NYC FC at a price of $10K. Now this guy's literally like a free square on your bingo card for this one. I'm playing him wherever I can. He's got 4 goals and 3 assists over the last 5 games with 30 shots over that span. Like I said, I've talked this guy up a lot recently. In my last video, I even recommended him, and he had a fantastic game, which, you know, is really no shocker. But he has been playing the striker position for NYCFC. It's been a very effective spot. NYCFC as a team has been on an absolute tear lately. In Philadelphia, they've been pretty stingy against the opposition this year, but they have allowed a total of 1 goal per game, or I guess an average of 1 goal per game. Another thing about Castellanos, he's on penalties, and NYCFC have been getting a lot of penalties this year, so I think that you play Castellanos with full confidence, really a guy that you can form your team around this week. Let's go ahead and look at a guy that's a little bit cheaper now. We're going to be talking about Gonzalo Higuain for Inter Miami at 8.7K. Another guy that, yes, I've been recommending lately, but he did have a kind of a disappointing game last time around, if we're being honest. However, he gets a much better matchup here. Chicago, their opponent, is 24th in goals allowed this year, and Higuain has had 3 goals in the last 4 games. Do the math, that adds up. He's going to have the door wide open to get himself a goal in this game. Also, throughout the season, he's averaging 13.4 fantasy points per game this year. Been a guy who's had a pretty good floor, especially when he gets a goal, and I think he does so in this game against a Chicago defense that is really allowing a lot of goals this year. Let's go ahead and look at a guy that is even cheaper priced. Technically, really a midfielder, but he qualifies for the forward position, so I'm throwing him on the forwards. It's going to be Fabien Herbers, and I don't have a very good French accent. I'm no Pat Mayo, but Fabien Herbers at 5.8K has had 9 and 7 fantasy points over the last 2 games. Not amazing or astounding, but in each of those games he had 2 shots assisted, 2 crosses, and 2 tackles won. All the 2s. He's really a stat sheet stuffer, a guy that does a lot in the midfield for Chicago, and also in the last game, he chipped the keeper and the ball hit the post. If that ball went into the net and he had scored the goal, we're talking about a completely different setup here for this guy this week. He's probably going to be more expensive, but at 5.8K, I think he's a pretty good guy to go ahead and just stick into your forward spot so you can pay up elsewhere. Speaking of paying up, talking about Maximiliano Morales for NYCFC in the midfield, is going to be our highest priced midfield option this week at 9.7K. Morales has 1 goal and 3 assists over the last 5 games, which is pretty good. And in that span, he's also had 16 total shots and 20 total crosses. It also really helps the guy that he's going to be on set pieces, he's going to be taking corners for the team. That adds to a good floor and good depth of value for him as a player. He's been playing at a central attacking midfield position lately for NYCFC, and as we've talked about NYCFC and their productiveness and their efficiency this year, I think he's got a great chance to be able to rack up another assist in this game, probably pass the ball to Castellanos for a goal, so I like Morales in this game at 9.7K, even though he's a little more expensive than usual. Now let's look at a guy now at 9.2K. We're going to be talking about Lewis Morgan. Now Lewis Morgan, I had talked a lot about him lately as well, recommended him, and deservedly so. Really hope you played him on the last slate that he was up for. 11 crosses last game, and 67 crosses over the last 6 games. Now that is consistency for you. That adds to a fantastic floor that Lewis Morgan has had, even with no goals and no assists this year. He has been playing fantastic, working very hard. I'm going to call it right now. I think his assist drought ends this week against Chicago. Chicago are just allowing way too many chances on defense, and I think Morgan's able to get into the box in this opportunity, score a goal, maybe get an assist to Gonzalo Higuain. I really like Lewis Morgan, and he, as well as Castellanos, are the two guys that I want to form my team around this week. So Lewis Morgan, I'm getting him into my lineup this week at 9.2K. All right, now let's look at a little bit cheaper guy. I'm going to be talking about Ismail Tajouri-Shradi for NYCFC at 7.4K. Now, Tajouri-Shradi comes in as a major discount compared to the last 2 weeks at his 7.4K price this week. He's also had 3 goals in the last 5 games. Also, over that span, 12 shots, 7 crosses. So not anything that's going to blow your mind, but something that's been very consistent for him. He has been playing at a right midfield position for NYCFC. He's been able to get up and down the field pretty well, find himself in good chances, and that's something that you really want from a right mid or a midfield position in this case. Also, Kai Wagner is going to be the guy who is defending him, and normally I'd be pretty worried about that. But Kai Wagner, as we know, for the Philadelphia Union, is a guy who really likes to push very far up the field. And if he's pushing too far up the field, I think there's a good chance that he's going to get caught out on the break against NYCFC, allowing a very vulnerable team to be able to be attacked. Tajouri-Shradi is going to be probably part of those counterattacks, so I really like him at his 7.4K price this week. All right, now let's look at the value midfield play they're going to be talking about. Let's go with Gaston Jimenez for the Chicago Fire at 5.1K. Now, he gets a lot of his value defensively. He usually plays at a defensive midfield position, but sometimes plays in a flat midfield position, which also helps his value offensively. He did score 6 games ago, but since that game, he's had 5 shots, 12 crosses, 11 tackles won, and 8 passes intercepted in the last 5 games. Also, a good thing about him is that occasionally he adds to set pieces and helps on corners. That adds just a little more to his value. And last couple games, their set piece taker, Alvaro Medran, has been absent. He entered health and safety protocols, and really, no one knows exactly what's going on with him. Due to that situation, if Alvaro Medran does end up sitting this game, I really, really love Gaston Jimenez at 5.1K to be a guy who can possibly change the slate for you this week. Keep an eye on those lineups as they come out, though. If Medran is playing, I'm not so sure about Gaston Jimenez, and I would love to play Alvaro Medran instead, even though Medran is a little more expensive. Let's go ahead and now look at a defender option that I really like this week. And no, as you might be thinking as you're looking at the slate, it's not going to be Kai Wagner. It's going to be Boris Sekulic at 5.8K for the Chicago Fire. Talking up a lot of Chicago players this week is just because Inter Miami, as one of the lower teams in the standings this year, have been pretty anemic against their offensive opposition, have been allowing a lot of goals, a lot of chances, and Sekulic has 2 assists and 32 crosses over the last 6 games. He's had a lot of offensive opportunities. He also helps as well on set pieces and corners sometimes, just adding more value to what he has. So comparing him to Kai Wagner, he really is, I think, the better deal in this game, especially with the better matchup going against the worst team in Inter Miami. So I think Boris Sekulic gets plenty of work on the offensive end, lots of crosses into the box. That's what you want from your defenders. 5.8K, let's go ahead and get him into our lineups. Finally, last position we're going to be looking at is the infamous goalkeeper position. And I'm really, really liking Sean Johnson at 4.7K this week for NYCFC. Sean Johnson, over the last 5 games, has a total of 15 saves and 3 clean sheets. And during that time, he's averaging almost 13 fantasy points per game. There have been games as well where he has allowed a goal and still kept up double-digit fantasy points. For that reason, even though they're going against a good team in Philadelphia Union this week, I think that he returns value for you, especially at a cheaper price of 4.7K. I think he's a really good start. All right, those are the last of the player picks that we're going to be looking at this week on the slate. Let's go ahead and take a look now at some of the bets that I really like for this week's games. The first bet is going to be Chicago to win in a shutout against Inter Miami. Obviously, this is going to be a bit of a difficult task for Chicago to do. They have been allowing goals this season, and Inter Miami have also been allowing goals. It's been back and forth, but I really think that Chicago has the better chance in this game to get the win. I would really say a tie, but there weren't too many great values that I could find at a tie option. So finding Chicago to win in a shutout against Miami at plus 525 is my favorite option here. Miami was shut out the last game, let's keep that in mind. And then Chicago has held a clean sheet in 2 of their last 3, so it definitely is possible considering the recent form of both these teams. Also, Miami, they're 26th this season in goals scored. Not great at all. So go ahead and place that bet. The second bet that we're going to be looking at, a little bit lower odds, but I think it's a very, very good bet, is going to be NYCFC to score the first goal of the game at plus 100. It's a little bit of a 50-50, but in the last 5 games, let's keep in mind that NYCFC have scored in the 29th, 40th, 14th, 12th, and 20th minutes of the game for their first goals of the game. They've been getting off to an early start recently, and I think they're going to be able to do the same thing against Philadelphia here. So I really like them to score the first goal at plus 100. Last bet we're going to be looking at is going to be a money line draw for the Montreal and Cincinnati game at plus 265. I haven't talked about a lot of players on this slate for Montreal or Cincinnati. It's because I think it's going to be a tie in this one. Cincy have been very, very good defensively lately, and so it's very possible this game ends in a 0-0 or 1-1 draw. Cincy have drawn 6 of their last 8. Also, if you want to be dangerous, if you're feeling dangerous, there's some crazy value and crazy odds out there for a tie with no goals, or similarly a tie with under 1.5 goals, so a 0-0 tie basically. And Cincy has done this with a 0-0 tie in 2 of their last 3 games. So if you're feeling risky, go ahead and put that one out. There's like plus 950 and plus 750 out there for those odds. But I like the safe one right now with the plus 265 for the draw. I think that one definitely cashes. Alright, that is the end of the video. Quick reminder to smash the like button on this video, and then also don't forget to subscribe to Mayo Media Network. Also, leave a 5-star review on any podcast that you listen to, and then head on over to Twitter, follow me at Ethan Kershaw 9. I'll help you out with your DFS soccer lineups, but until I hear from you, I hope that you all have a fantastic week, good luck with your contests, and I'll talk to y'all later. See ya.